Hello, hi, and welcome to Empathic Fire. I am your reader, Jay. These are going to be general messages for the sign of Scorpio in mid-March 2020. What's going on, Scorpio? How are you guys doing? I hope you are doing well. All right, Scorpio, here we are, mid-March. What's going on? How are you? Listen, if you're a returning viewer, you may have noticed I stepped away for a little while from the channel. That Mercury retrograde that started in mid-February and wrapped up on March 10th really did a number on me. I had to really just unplug from everything to do with the channel. Had a lot of stuff going on personally for me, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. A lot of upgrading, I suppose. And Spirit has really pushed me to challenge myself and just do things that I'm not necessarily comfortable with or that I wasn't used to. Let's say it that way. So anyway, I've come back to the channel now, have some new equipment, have a new outlook on things. I feel pretty good, but that I think it was like 3 weeks, I did absolutely nothing here on the channel. That was so necessary. So anyway, I'm back now, and if you're a first-time viewer, you don't know any of that, but I welcome you here as well. Let's go ahead and get into it. Scorpio, I have shuffled off camera. That's your main spread there. I will shuffle on camera now for your outcome and your overall energy. Once all of the cards are out and they're lying face up on the table, that's when the reading begins. Timestamp is in the description box if you want to jump ahead. You'll also find information down there if you want to get a personal reading with me. If you have questions before you place an order, feel free to email me at the exact same address. And new announcement, part of the intro here is that your girl is on Instagram as Empathic Fire Tarot on Instagram. So if you want to follow me, I'm going to pop up the little graphic right around here. You're going to see it. You can screenshot it. You can write it down. You can hop on over if you're on your phone, add me real quick, and then hop back over and finish watching the video. But if you want to follow me over there, I do daily oracle card pulls there, a little bit of an intuitive interpretation for every day. I'm having fun doing it so far. That's really all I'm doing on over there just yet. Maybe one day I'll go live and I'll do some readings over there as opposed to doing it here on YouTube. Who knows? But again, if you want to follow me, Empathic Fire Tarot over on Instagram. And very quickly before we actually get to your outcome, condolences and sympathy to anybody who's really grappling with this COVID-19 coronavirus situation we have going on right now at this point in time. For me personally, I've been sent home to work. Week 1 was doable. We'll see how week 2 is. It's very boring, but my job is very boring in itself. But I really can't complain because, there's so many people who are not able to work from home, or it's very difficult to, make ends meet. So I'm actually a very lucky person. So my condolences and sympathy again if you're struggling at this time. But hopefully things will get better before they get worse. And judging by other countries, because I live in the United States, but judging by other countries, particularly China and Taiwan, it seems like they're recouping pretty well. So hopefully we can follow suit. And yeah, so just love and peace and harmony and just like get well soon kind of feeling going towards everybody who's affected, okay? I had to flip over here just before I was going to get to your overall energy, or excuse me, your outcome. But you have the Prince of Pentacles, so that's the Knight of Pentacles. So some of you might be moving quite slowly towards a particular goal. There might be an earth sign of significance in your life, but it doesn't have to be. But slow progress in some type of way is usually what the Prince of Pentacles signifies, okay? All right, enough of the rambling. Let's get into it. Please show me, almost called you Sagittarius, excuse me. Please show me Scorpio's outcome for mid-March 2020. Mid-March 2020 outcome for Scorpio, please show me. And it's officially spring, friends. Are we happy about that? I am. Spring and fall are my favorite seasons. Summer and winter, it's either too hot or too cold, but that spring and fall is just right. So I'm very happy that it's officially spring here in the States. Outcome for Scorpio in mid-March 2020. Oh yeah, and the reason I'm doing this, for those who are still listening, because of that hiatus, I couldn't do a March reading, so the mid-March has been condensed into this reading, which is more typically associated with my overall messages for the month. So that's why you have 6 cards instead of 4 for the mid-month, in case you're wondering. This is interesting. Your spread came pretty easy, thank you. But then, okay, that's interesting. So your spread came very easily, and as you can see, it took a minute to get to the overall, or excuse me, get to the outcome. And I laughed because this card was in my face when I was, meditating and shuffling the deck and splitting the deck. This came out so many times. It's in a side position, so let's go ahead and make sure which way they want me to put it on the board. Which way for Scorpio, please? Thank you. All right. I just ate. Why am I hungry? Let's go ahead and flip what came face down. Okay. And let's see if we can straighten this out. Looks pretty good on the screen. New setup. I'm liking it. It makes it a little bit easier for me. I mean, I'm still like trying to master how to hold things up to the camera, but whatever. All right, let's get into it, Scorpio. Please show me Scorpio's outcome. Excuse me. So jumbled. Please show me where Scorpio is in mid-March 2020. Scorpio in mid-March 2020, please show me. Oh my God, which one? Please show me. They're like two, they're between two. Come on. Show me clearly. Which one for Scorpio, please? Okay. Whew. We got it. Okay. Do we got it? One more time. Very clearly. Show me. Scorpio, you can't. They're not making this easy. Because for 1 second it was one card, and now they're like pulling me back. Oh, okay. Okay, we got it. Okay. Yes, thank you. Jesus Christ. So, quick little thing here. You were between two positions here, and yeah, they like are hammering. Like I feel like a ping pong ball right now. I feel, even though I picked this one up and we're going to start here, they're also like, but that one too, but that one. I'm like, no, we don't start with two cards, and they know that. But anyway, Scorpio coming into mid-March, you come in with the Hanged Man. Secondary major arcana for Pisces, so some of you could be dealing with a Pisces, but you don't have to be. This is like a difficult evaluation period for you, or a difficult period of waiting, a difficult period of being delayed or being held up with something, stranded. Okay. Yeah, I mean, he looks pretty stranded, strung up on the tree by his ankle, right? So some of you, just to be very straight up and sort of, in line with current events, some of you might be stranded in another country or another place other than where you live due to everything that's going on with COVID-19 coronavirus, right? So if you are, on lockdown in a foreign country, or you're on lockdown while you were possibly visiting family on another, in another state, maybe you live in New York, but you were visiting family in Florida, or vice versa, or whatever it is. And now, with no flights going out of a lot of major cities, especially New York, I believe, you just might be physically somewhere where you're not used to being. Regardless of that, or not regardless of that, but that's just for like, a small segment of people, or however many people that might resonate with. And it doesn't have to be you. It could be someone that you're dealing with. It could be, your spouse or your children who are overseas or somewhere where they can't get out of. But more to the point of what tarot talks about with the Hangman, Scorpio. You're in a state of suspension, standby, and it's often not the most comfortable time or experience spent in that suspension. I don't know many people that would volunteer to, hang upside down for a long period of time. It's uncomfortable. The blood rushes to your head. It's a whole different perspective because, we're so used to being up on our feet experiencing gravity, head to toe, not toe to head, So just the physical experience of being hung upside down for an extended period of time is, I would assume, not pleasant. Metaphorically speaking, it's the same way. Some of you, your life or your perspective is turned upside down, or an aspect of your life. Let's say that, not your entire life, but let's say an aspect of your life is turned upside down, or you're having to view it from a different perspective. And this is a struggle. Thank you. This is a struggle for you because, there we go. Now I know. This is a struggle because you would prefer not to do this at all. I mean, again, I don't know many people who would voluntarily put themselves in this position because it's uncomfortable. So that's what's going on. You're being put in an uncomfortable position, and it's not your choice. It's very involuntary. It's very much out of your hands. That is, again, going back to those where you're stranded in a place where you can't get out of. Some of you, similar to my situation, maybe you're working from home and you don't want to. I know a lot of people, they need to go into the office, or they need to go out of their home and feel more productive that way. Being stuck in the house for, 7, 10, 16 days on end, however long you may have been at home, would make a person, basically get cabin fever, right? So there's this inability to move. There's this inability to change your circumstances. And again, it's out of your hands. More to the point of tarot, and the esoteric understanding of this is guided to you, because this is a major arcana. Scorpio, major arcanas indicate some type of influence from the universe, from spirit, from God, whatever you believe in or don't believe in. It signals an imperative thing. Like, this is imperative, they're telling me. Like, whether it's exacerbated or has come in the form of a quarantine or social distancing or whatever you wish to call it, right? If it's come in that form, that's the way this has been designed, is how they're kind of making me feel about this. If it's not due to, being on lockdown or quarantine or whatever it is, and this is more of a, and that's kind of more traditionally what this is. This is like a more internal experience, something that you're reconsidering on an internal space. And, Scorpio, you're deep in terms of emotions. And, 8th house does include aspects of the occult, right? So I get this sense that whatever's going on may have started before any type of, health crisis, that's gone across the globe, right? It's only now being highlighted more, or it's like sort of in your face, because because there is no quote unquote escape, quote unquote. I feel as though whoever I'm connecting to, is someone who makes themselves, when you're busy, when you have things to do, when you've got errands, when you've got a job to go to, you've got kids to go pick up from school, you have, fitness clubs or fitness programs to go to. Oh, I got to go to my spin class. It's Thursday night. Spin class is canceled, Mary. So what do? You're left to your own devices. You're left with a lot of time and a lot of conscious energy that you can only focus on yourself and or focus on the people that are surrounding you. Because, some of you live alone, some of you live with friends or family members or roommates or whatever. And if you're really literally not really going outside except to maybe, go to the grocery store, get that toilet paper that everybody's so crazy about, that's ridiculous. I'm being so facetious. It's really unnecessary to hoard toilet paper, but whatever. So aside from those small breaks where you can go out, you can't go to a restaurant, you can't go to a bar, you really shouldn't be visiting friends and family because social distancing. So really, if you are hunkered down in the house, and I mean, this has come out, in several readings that I've done for the collective or the different zodiac signs, people are going stir crazy. People are really, getting that cabin fever, because I think we take for granted, even though many of us might bemoan or feel like, oh, I got to run these errands, and oh, my job, and oh my God, I hate this, or oh, traffic. It's like people are dying for traffic right now, I think, just so that they can be doing something. Because when you're in traffic or you're at work or you're running errands, you don't have to think about yourself. And again, the traditional interpretation of the hangman is to reconsider, maybe not reconsider. Well, I guess that is, a good word to use. So I'll put it back. So reconsider or reflect or more repurpose is the word they're giving me. That's not the one I want, but they're going to say repurpose. Reestablish something in your life. And I'm saying re as in to go back to. I think reconsider is like the best one, even though I'm not like in love with that word. But basically, put yourself, there it goes. See yourself, see your circumstances, see your situation, see your goals, see whatever from a new perspective. It's again, we're used to being feet to ground, right? Standing straight up or sitting straight up or walking upright, right? This person is static, suspended on a tree, but in an upside down position. That's a whole new way to see the world. The sky is where the ground should be. The ground is where the sky should be. If any, animal or person were to walk in front of this guy's face, it would look weird. Your brain would be like, that's not right. I mean, literally, I think I used to say this. Yes, I did. Pardon me. If you literally went and did a handstand right now up against your wall, or you just dangled yourself off the edge of the bed or the couch and you just observed your own room from an upside down perspective, it's kind of freaky. So I think that there's something where the powers that be, whether it's, however you perceive that phrase, right? The powers that be are challenging you to look at things differently or to consider where you are from another perspective. And I don't really know what that is. They're really not giving me much. But what I know is most of you are like, no. Most of you are like, nah, I don't want to do that. Or, this is not comfortable. I'm over this. Like, for the first like day or two, where you're kind of like, sitting, at, like maybe you're having breakfast while you're home from work, or, if you're able to work from home, or if you're just at home and you're not able to work, it's even more of a thing. And it's just like, it feels like a pressure cooker is happening. But I'm getting this image of someone where there's a pressure cooker happening in their life, where the circumstances have really pressurized what they're able to do with their life or how they're able to operate, right? Most people, again, you're used to getting up and going to work every day. You have errands, you have appointments, all that kind of stuff. Not all of that has kind of been just kaput, just like dead in the water, right? So that pressurizes many of you. But on the surface, what they keep showing me is someone like calmly at breakfast in their kitchen, eating oatmeal or cereal or reading, things on their tablet or whatever. And from the outside in, it looks like you're fine. You're fine. But on the inside, you're going through this hangman situation. On the inside also, is that right? Yes, on the inside also, because this was your second position. For those who were here when I was shuffling at the start. You were between two positions when I was asking where's Scorpio. This was the second position. And for a while, this one was winning. But then they eventually settled me on the hangman. Anyway, Knight of Swords, or excuse me, King of Swords, energy. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. So air sign energy. You could be dealing with an air sign, but you don't have to be. And this is an energy that says, yeah, like not speaking much, not, or if not speaking much, I should say deliberate speech, deliberate speech. I feel that this is an energy where you could go the distance. If you, what are we talking about? Clear this up, please. If you're going through like this new perspective, in some cases, this might be some type of spiritual awakening for a few of you, not everybody, but a few of you. This could be a spiritual awakening with the hangman, with the hangman card there. But many of you are not expressing that. Let's say that. Even if it's not a spiritual awakening, if you're just like struggling, having to stay put, if you're struggling and stressed, about, your finances, but, you're finding, it's just like whatever the struggle is, mum's the word, okay, with the King of Swords. Mum is the word. So, and the other thing about the King of Swords is disengagement, if that's even a word, but being disengaged in, again, deliberate communication. Like if you don't want to talk about it, you're not going to talk about it. And I get this sense that there is plenty to say. There you go. Because the King of Swords is a master, right? And the kings and queens, they're the master of their respective suits. So he is a master of communication. He can, and I'm only saying he because there's a male, you could be a female, and this could be you, no gender. There's a bulk of things to say, tons of things that can be said, but the choice is to not say anything. And if I'm honest, I feel as though there's a daydreaming energy here. I'm looking at those three birds in the card and I'm like, and they keep giving me this sense of like escaping, or like now I'm back to the person who's eating their cereal or their oatmeal in the morning and they're looking out their window, sighing and looking at the sky, looking at the world outside and like wanting to be there. And again, I don't know the circumstances that you're in, Scorpio. I don't know if, because many people aren't necessarily on a huge lockdown. Some are just, you know, essential employees. Like you could be a nurse and you do go out in the world, but there's something about imagining different circumstances. I'm just getting that off of those three birds, imagining a different circumstance and like what it would be like if XYZ were to happen, or what would have happened if XYZ didn't happen. And then, for some of you, after, the whole thing with the virus blows over, or some of you, what is it going to be like when I return to work? There's just like this curiosity, or there's this imagination going on in the King of Swords, but there's not this expression. So you're not expressing your, whatever you're daydreaming about, right? You're also not expressing, and I'm saying you, again, this is a general, it can be flipped. This could be someone that you're dealing with, Scorpio. There's also this lack of expression about this spiritual uplift, or changeover, or awakening, or whatever this is with the Hangman. I'm not able to see too clearly much of a scenario. The thing I've seen most clearly is, again, someone sitting down, having a bowl of cereal or oatmeal or something like that, and like looking out the window, or looking, how sometimes you're just like staring into nothingness, you're staring into space because you're thinking something else. It's like one of those things. You're in a physical place, but you're not aware, or you're not really conscious of what is surrounding you. You know what I mean? So that's interesting. And to some degree, both of these cards indicate some type of avoidance to me, or some type of reluctance. Let's say reluctance, if not full-on avoidance. Because this, thank you, the King of Swords here also is on horseback, on the move. That's not typical in terms of what you normally see on tarot cards, especially with the traditional decks like the Rider-Waite. Usually the king is very stationary. This king is on the move. So there is this desire for you to move. Some of you, again, literally being stranded in another country, or in another part of the country, far away from home, you definitely would desire and be dreaming about coming home. Interesting. Give me a second. I'm going to clear my sinuses because of congestion. So I will be right back, but you're not going to notice it because I'm going to edit this out. All right, Scorpio, thank you so much for your patience with that, even though, again, it was edited out. You didn't even know how long I was gone for. Anyway, so there's this interest in moving, or interest in not being where you are, of things going a different route, of things going back to normal, or going, like I said, into a completely different lane, often off on a completely different journey, or pathway, or something like that. It's a mixed bag. It'll be, some of you just want things to go back to normal. Some of you are just like, and that's interesting because I just saw something on, I think it was Facebook or wherever I was scrolling through, that said, because of, humans being essentially on a huge global quarantine, like a lot of nature is like clearing up, like waterways, or water is clearing up. I just someone I think the one I was looking at, dolphins are swimming closer to the shore. All kinds of stuff is happening because we are not out there doing our thing. So some of you might be thinking in global ways, or in ways that are particular to the environment. When we all, quote unquote, go back to normal, how normal, or how much like the past or what it was previously are we going to get into? Like, this is a chance for, some of you might be thinking in these terms. This is a chance for us to sort of get a redo on how we impact the environment. So something like that might also be going on here. And that could be something that you're thinking of. Maybe before you've never really thought that much about the environment, or you've been casually like, oh yeah, I'm doing my recycling. I bring my own shopping bag to the grocery store, what have you. But now when you see like the impact within just 2-3 weeks that this has been going on, how quickly some environmental issues are clearing up or they're altering slightly, you're kind of like, what else can I do? So it could be something like that for a few of you. But whatever it is, per usual, Scorpio is in a lot of deep contemplation, but also kind of lamenting or wishing to not be so contemplative. You can handle the heaviness. Obviously, Scorpios are super deep people. It's kind of your bag, but I get the sense that some of you are just like fatigued by this. I'm fatigued from having to think so deeply about my life or my impact or my circumstances or my job or my finances or my family or my love life or whatever we're talking about. You're just like, kind of like, I don't want to think too much more about this, because I really do get some sense of like escapism with the King of Swords, which is interesting because, again, the master of communication, the master of logical thought or rational thought. And I feel as though some of you are like, I don't even want to play that game. I don't even want to have discussions about whatever's going on with me or whatever I'm considering. You know what I mean? So it's very interesting. Now, what else is going on, my friends? Let's see. Okay. All right. So you've got this other person here. Okay. All right. So you have someone else who is similar in your energy, in that it is intense. I feel that there's a person here who is intense in a way that you're intense, or accomplished in the way that you're accomplished. They are a master as well, because you have a pair here. Okay. You're right. Okay. So Emperor card. Major Arcana for Aries. Some of you could be dealing with an Aries, but you don't have to be. This person is incredibly accomplished, or you view them that way, or the world views them this way, or they view themselves this way. It's going to go either way, because I don't know why I have to clarify. For some, this is like how this person views themselves. Little bit of an egotist. But beyond that, I think that you have someone here with this Emperor card that is very powerful, very masterful of themselves. They are incredible. They're a creator. They're a business person. They're savvy. They're smart. They're logical. But they're also staunch, stubborn, stoic, and in some cases a bit of a control freak. Not all cases with the control freak, but there's this emphasis on the stoicism, or however you say that word, of being solid. This person is very solid. Like, this could be your boss, for those where, work is a big focus for you right now. This could be your boss, because, the Emperor also signals to leadership and pioneerism. Is that a word? Pioneerism? I don't know. But being a pioneer, basically, an originator, somebody who, like I said, is creative, not necessarily in an artistic way, like creative, like they can make things with their hands. They can be creative in terms of arts, but they're just somebody who gets results And I think that that is their focus right now. I think a lot of whoever this is to you could be a friend, like I said, a colleague, a boss, could be someone you're related to. It could be your spouse, your husband, your wife. It doesn't matter. Um, uh-huh. This emperor is very focused, as emperors tend to be, on their empire, whatever that means to them, or whatever that you perceive that to mean. If this person is a business owner, and lots of business owners are going through it right now, especially people who like have businesses that are service oriented or food oriented, right? So lots of restaurants and bars totally shut down, or there's like a dive in customers coming in the door because of everything that's going on with this pandemic, right? So this person, regardless of whatever business they have, regardless of whatever their empire is, because in other senses, the empire can just be their family. The empire can just be, the at-home business that they're working on, their online business, whatever it is. They're very focused on this. It's driving them. It's inspiring them. It's really consuming them, and in a good way, because the emperor likes a challenge. The emperor, well, I mean, take that with a grain of salt. I don't know that having like a 90% dive in your clientele is a challenge that anybody wants to do, but there's this like, I can get it done, or I'm going to find a solution to this. So this person is resolute. They're very goal-oriented, results-oriented, and they're driven towards success. Whether they have accomplished it yet or whether they're trying to maintain it, that's all down to the specifics. But I get this sense of this person is very commanding. Whenever you interact with this person, and some of you, interestingly, you don't interact with them that much at all. That's interesting. Like maybe some of you like have a boss that you don't really communicate with a lot. And that might work for you. This person might be very hands off. God forbid I would work for a micromanager. I would hate it. But this is someone who, they're doing their thing, you're doing your thing, and when and where you communicate is seldom, in some cases, not all, or it's very like heavy communication and then none at all. Lots of communication and then none at all. It's like it comes in waves. And this person, you might not know how many irons in the fire that they have right now. You might not know the ins and outs of what they're dealing with, but you know that they're being the emperor. You know that they're out there taking charge of their life, or trying to find a resolution to a circumstance or a situation that they're in. I think this person is very focused on their stability. I think this person is focused to a lesser extent on their happiness, meaning that's not the priority. This emperor is not doing anything to make themselves happy in the short term. They're looking to make themselves stable and secure in the long term, right? Again, can be related to family and other relationships, can be related to business or their finances or what have you. But I just get the sense that this person is accomplished and they're basically in their Baus energy. And from afar, I think you respect that, but you're also kind of like for some reason, I'm getting this energy of like nervousness from you, or if it's vice versa, from them towards you, because you could be the emperor. Take your pick, whoever you are. Scorpio, you should know. There's like this, because remember, over here we have this, I don't really want to talk. I'm kind of daydreaming, or I'm kind of wishing or considering how things could be different in the future, or just like pondering. Like there's a lot of internal energy, a lot of internal thinking going on with the King of Swords, right? And the Hangman combination, considering things or reconsidering things, and it's very internal. This is very external. This emperor is out there getting things done. This emperor is as busy as he or she can be, considering, again, this global pandemic that we're all, dealing with right now. So if this person is able to go outside, or this I mean, they might be going out more than they should. I mean, I don't think they're doing it irresponsibly, but this person is just like, I'm not going to let XYZ stop my business. I'm not going to let XYZ prevent me from doing this, that, or the other. For example, I saw in the news, several restaurants are turning their businesses into food pantries, you know what I mean? Or they're making their regular menu, and they're kind of, doing it, come into the restaurant, pick it up and take it out, or we'll prep the ingredients for you and then you can go home and make it for yourself. So a lot of those restaurant owners across the country, across the world, are thinking outside of the box. That's emperor energy. I did not account for such a thing to happen at any point in my life of owning this business, but I'm not going to let it stop me from trying to make a profit and or service my community. Because again, some of them are turning their businesses into food pantries, right? So this emperor is taking a shit sandwich and turning it into something gourmet. You see what I mean? So they're industrious. That was the word I was looking for earlier. Industrious. Okay. They also have the Queen of Swords above them. So this is very interesting because that would make a match to your King of Swords, or the King of Swords that's over here. So Queen of Swords energy, again, a master of the suit that she's in. So this would be a master of the air element. Again, communication. However, look at this. Not going anywhere. Oh. Oh. That's interesting. Okay, let's compare. So you see how the King of Swords, again, which is atypical. You see how the King of Swords is on his horse. Oh my God, there we go. Oh, that's an uncomfortable way to hold my fingers. Anyway, you see how this King of Swords is on horseback. And I told you I was drawn to those three birds in the sky and how I was seeing someone looking out their window, sighing and like daydreaming about being somewhere else or some circumstance being different than what it is, right? Then you see the Queen of Swords, who's on the clouds, which is, up in the sky where the King of Swords is looking, in my perspective as the reader. This is what I'm understanding. She's in the sky already. She's where the King of Swords is imagining or daydreaming about. So again, I'm getting the sense, Scorpio, for some of you, you're in separation from this person, which again would make sense if one of you, if you're in a marriage, or if you're in another type of partnership, maybe you're just friends or colleagues or roommates or what have you. But for some, you're away. Like I said, over here, some of you might be stranded in a different country or a different part of the world, and then the Queen of Swords is back home, male or female. There's no gender here. So whoever is where you want to be, they're not where you are physically. They exist in another place. Okay. And that could be because of, the certain separation that's going on. In other cases, it has nothing to do with the virus or being, overseas or anything like that. This person might be where you want to be in terms of their career, because again, the Emperor has a lot of emphasis on career or stability or long-term stability, right? So I get the sense that maybe in some of your cases, this boss of yours is, if it is a boss, or this person in leadership is where you want to be. You want to be where they are. Whether that means with them or like them, it's going to be different for all of your cases. But some of you are like, I want to be where they are, as in I want to be like them. I want to emulate that experience or emulate that trajectory, or I want to be able to move or navigate through this situation, through these current circumstances like this person. Something like that. Or you want to be with them. Again, if you're separated and you miss them for some reason because you live in a different country, whatever it is. And it doesn't, see, that's the other thing. Thank you. It doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be that you're stranded in another country or you're stranded in another part of the world. It could be you literally just live in different places and you always have. Does that make sense? And that works in all the ways, because I'm not sensing that to be a strictly romantic or love type of scenario. It is for some of you, but I'm really feeling like family and friends and business relationships is like really coming through a lot. In some of your cases, oh, I see. Okay. In some of your cases, it is going to be about romance, but it's so strange. These two are a match, King and Queen of Swords. But I'm not sure that you've ever been together, right? Pardon me. Ah, okay. Independence. Thank you. Okay, here's what they gave me. And this is going to be very specific to what I do as a reader, or the decks that I have. I have another deck. It's called the Housewives Tarot deck. And in that deck, the King and Queen of Swords, more than any other deck where I get these two cards together. In that deck, I always view them as a couple that's not a couple, meaning they live independent lives, or they live separately from each other, or they work separately. Like there isn't a lot of interconnectivity between these two in that deck. Often I have described in that deck, they're the couple that they're intellectual rivals, right? I'm going to say this, and please don't be offended. Please don't be offended. Okay, I'm just using it as an example because it's boggling my mind, and this is like what's coming through. Again, don't be offended or don't be feel complimented. This is just an example. But you know Kellyanne Conway, and I hate to mention politics on my channel, but Kellyanne Conway, you know that woman works for the Trump administration. For many of us here in the States, she's very known to us. But I would assume she's an international figure. Her husband, George Conway, isn't that his name? They are married. They're both Republicans, right? They both have whatever conservative views that they have, but they are polar opposites, or they believe differently in terms of supporting the president. But they're married. Does that make sense? I'm not saying that's what you're doing. I'm not saying that's your situation, but that's what this is. These are two people that are very connected in many ways, but very separate in other ways. So you see what I'm doing with my hands here? I'm going to interlace these 3 fingers down here, these 6 fingers down here. But these, let's leave the thumb and the pointer separate. So there's a partial connection or an overlap. There is an overlap, but there's still distance between you, either physical distance or maybe something more spiritual. Okay. Some of you, this is about a spiritual connection, or the reverse, or no. For some of you, this is about a spiritual connection, but physical distance. Yes. For some of you, this is about physical distance, but you are spiritually connected. Isn't that the same thing? Yeah, that's the same thing. Some of you, okay, then the opposite. Thank you. There it is. Some of you, this is about proximity. You're close, but spiritually you're separate. It'll go either of those ways. However, I feel the match is still there. It's okay. That's so strange, but I'm going to express it because they slammed it into my brain. This image of, you know how when you're zipping up your coat or your fly or your pants, but the zipper doesn't go all the way, or it breaks, or whatever reason, it just won't zip all the way. It's like an incomplete zip. Like when you zip something together, it's like, interlaced, but the zipper's not all the way up. It's very strange. And I didn't really talk much about this Queen of Swords as an archetype or anything like that. Let me see if I can get any more off of this, because that really, they just drove me to like the connection of it. Yeah, this, if I'm honest, this Queen of Swords, and sometimes tarot readers will say that the Queen of Swords, the Queen and the King of Swords are almost flipped in some instances, where the Queen is more confident than the King, which is not always the case with Kings and Queens in the other suits. Sometimes that's said, but I get that sense here. Because again, the King is on the move in this deck. He's on this horse. He's riding along. He's going somewhere, or he desires to go somewhere. And again, there's no gender. I'm just talking about the characters on the card. This Queen is stationary, sitting on some clouds, looking pretty contented, looking pretty, fine. Just fine where she is. I don't get the sense that this Queen feels rushed, feels worried, feels anxious, feels despondent in any type of way. I get the sense of solid energy. Yes, because of the Emperor. This person over here is not going anywhere. This person over here has no quandary or quarrels or any. I mean, they might be worried again about, their business and their stability, and that's sort of their focus. But in terms of, what the King and the Queen are masters of in terms of communication, of thought, this person is clear-minded. This person is less clear-minded. Does that make sense? So this person over here is more expressive. This person over here is less expressive. This person over here is like they're willing to communicate. They don't need to. They're willing to communicate, or they're willing to express their ideas and what's going on in their situation. But they're not, this, this isn't somebody who, because they're busy getting shit done with the Emperor card. This isn't someone who, anytime that they have, something that is off-putting to them, or they just don't rely on others as much as maybe they have a lot of independence. Let's say that. Because I'm getting someone who is proactive, has moments of reflection, but ultimately is more action oriented. Here, there's a lot of pondering going on, a lot more static energy and a desire to move, but can't move. Very interesting. Let's move on, because, we'll be here forever. And, Scorpio usually gets long readings from me anyway. So what else happens for you guys? Well, that's the connection, or what, yeah. Wow. Okay, I see that. Thank you. So, which one, please? Okay, thank you. Death card on the bottom row there. This is your card, Scorpio, Major Arcana for Scorpio. So you're showing up in your reading, backing yourself up in your own message. But more to the point, death, as you can see there on the card, it also says rebirth. That's kind of one of the archetypes, or excuse me, one of the qualities of the death card. In terms of tarot, we are seeing this woman in the flames of the phoenix, partially alive, partially destroyed. The top half is alive. You can see it's a lady or some type of human figure, but the bottom is just flames, right? So it's this imagery and this idea of transformation through the fire. Interesting. So something is a test right now. Let's say that. This is what that feels. Yes. Okay. So you, them, or one of you, or both of you, I can't really tell just yet, but there is some type of test going on. And remember what I said about major arcanas, how this is sort of divinely guided, because, that's just, in tarot what major arcanas signify, is that divinely there's a test going on. Divinely, there's some transformation that is being suggested or brought about or called for, right? With death, we talk about endings as well as simultaneous beginnings. That's a theme in many tarot cards, but in particular with the death card, it doesn't come without some type of loss. That makes sense for the emperor. The emperor has lost something. I'm getting, again, this idea of somebody who owns a business but is having to be industrious and think outside of the box to keep themselves afloat. So they may have had, let's go back to the idea of a restaurant owner. And again, I'm hoping you can pull out what you can pull out, because not everybody on this earth who's affected by the COVID-19 situation is a restaurant owner, but it's easier for me to translate it this way. So let's just say a restaurant owner has to lay off like 80% of their staff, 70% of their staff at this time, because, no sense in having the dishwashers come in, or the busboys come in, or the hostesses come in, because there's no one to serve, there's no one to seat, there's no one to clean up dishes for, right? So this person has to lose their staff. They have to lose possibly, and they have to lose money because money's not coming in the door. So some of them might have to lose in terms of, paying up on their lease to own and operate wherever their restaurant is located. However, they are being reborn or gaining or transforming that loss into something else. Okay, so I can't serve customers. Let me make my restaurant into a food pantry, or let me bring in my cooks and my chefs, right? And we're going to make the meals, we're going to prep the food, and then whoever wants to buy it, they can buy it from us and take it home and cook it for themselves. You see what I mean? So there's this parlay, or there's this volleying of a loss into as much of a gain as possible, right? That does require some type of creative thought. And I keep using that example because, again, it's also savvy for the person, in the case that I'm talking to, this man, this restaurant owner, he went to the news and he reported that. And so if people see that, they're going to remember him. They're going to remember his business. They're going to possibly spend money at his restaurant where they wouldn't have before because they didn't know. Some people are walking around thinking all restaurants are closed. No, some are open, but they're doing business in a different way. So that's what happens here. And that's just a very specific example of how the Emperor side, the Queen of Swords side, is going through some death and rebirth here, right? So having to recuperate after feeling or experiencing some type of loss. On this side, Scorpio, which I think in most of your cases you're over here, but you can be over here, take your pick. Over here, that spiritual awakening for many of you, that's the death and rebirth. Spiritual awakenings, as far as I'm concerned, are huge, major upheavals that resonate or reverberate from the inside out. You feel that shit from the gut, and then it expands out of you, and it's very different, because some people can have like a kundalini experience, right, or a kundalini awakening, and that's a whole different thing. I don't think I've had one of those. Others of you, it's more subtle. Others of you, it might be more tied to your religious beliefs, and not so much spiritual, or the intersecting of both of those worlds, where some of you in this time, you might be picking up your Bible and you haven't picked up your Bible in 15 years. But, I've seen that also on my social media. People are like, oh, this is it. And I'm like, maybe not, but you go ahead and believe what you want. and no shade to anybody. We're all allowed our different beliefs, but some people that I've seen on my social media, they're like, this is it. Jesus is coming. And I'm like, okay. So, but that could be what's going on, just as an example. Okay. And not calling anybody out, no shade, So regardless of how the spiritual awakening is affecting you or manifesting for you, showing up in your life, Scorpio, it is ultimately a moment where, for both people, for everybody involved, let's say, whatever was happening before cannot happen after, right? The moment of death. That's also kind of something that I think I used to say that a little bit more when I was doing tarot, like, when I first started, is that it's sort of like a gateway, right? Or doorway. Think of any doorway in your house. You open a door and you're standing in the bedroom. You walk through that door, now you're in the bathroom or you're in the hallway, right? You open one door, I'm in the living room. I open this door and I walk across to the other side. I'm now headed down into the basement. You see what I mean? So literally, death is a transformation point, or a transition point. Thank you. A transition point. From this side of the door, things are this way. You go through the portal, go through the door, go through the transition point that is death, and on the other side, you're somewhere else. So I think that works for both people, but I think it's a little more poignant for the King of Swords because, again, a lot of internal reflection and wondering or wanting to avoid, or if not avoid, feeling reluctant of having that revelation. But that's basically it. So for the Emperor, I think they're a little more aware of how to navigate this, of how to work with this energy, to work with this current state of affairs. And I think the person over here, King of Swords and Hangman, they are getting it slowly but surely. Let's say that. Now above this, interestingly enough, you have, well, not even interestingly enough, because you are a match, but I don't know how you match. I don't know the specifics, So above that position is the Ten of Cups. So if this is your boss or your business partner or your friend or your family member, you may already have, come on and focus. How close do I have to get, for God's sakes? Oh, you're not going to do it? You're going to treat me like that? Oh, you were working so good yesterday. What happened? Did I? Oh, please excuse me, Scorpio. And how I'm like moving my hands. It's a whole new camera. It focuses much more slowly. There it is than my old camera. Okay, so Ten of Cups. some of you, you already have, like I said, a connection with this person that is well established. For others of you, this is, oh, could that be it? For some of you, maybe you've not even met this person. They're just letting me know. Like some of you, you may not have even met this person before. That's interesting. But for those where you do know this person, I mean, look how close these two little figures are. Very close. And, you know, there might be some overtone here for those where this is a romantic or love relationship, and that works. For others of you, this is, again, about a good friend, a family friend, or a family member that you're close to, you know, a cousin that you are in business with, or a cousin that you were starting up business with, but then COVID-19 happened, and you're kind of like, oh, shit. But whatever this is, you know, wishes come true. You know, or wish fulfillment. Thank you. Because the nine of cups for me, I usually call it the dreams come true wish, or dreams come true card. And then the 10 of cups is like wish fulfillment. So, I don't know. This is like a potentiality, or this is something that, oh, that's also there. Okay. Thank you. Notice the orientation, and it's going to be hard to see, but I'm not going to pick all three up. But this Queen of Swords is a little bit more oriented towards the 10 of Cups, and the King of Swords is oriented away from it. So that's why I'm kind of like, I feel that there is this connection. I do feel that there is this like I said before, this interlacing of you and someone else, Scorpio, but these two last parts, these two, you know, sets of fingers are separate, right? So it's like one of you is not fully perceiving the 10 of Cups and in how you work. This is just a potential, by the way. Others of you just like, yes, yes, yes. And it's a little bit more in sync. Others of you, it's like, it's mostly in sync. It's like that zipper that's partially zipped up. That's so interesting. Like they're really, okay. They're really giving me this thing about potential for some of you. And it's got this overhanging moon in the card there. Oh my God, you are making me so mad, camera. What do I have to be, like right up here? Ridiculous. There you go. There's the moon. I mean, you kind of could have seen it before. It was just a white blob, but still. There's this overhanging or there's this consideration of an emotional investment, emotional awareness, emotional receptivity that either side or both sides are not tapped into. Therefore, the 10 of Cups is elusive. That's interesting. If I'm honest, and this is how I conceptualize a lot of my readings, as pathways, right? So pathway, and then up into. So it's like this. If it's moving like that. And the same thing for the King of Swords side. It moves like this, up into. But it's not a complete circuit. Like if you think of wiring, electrical circuits, right? You know, the wires have to completely send the energy, send the electrical current out from the box to the appliance. If one wire or a few wires in there aren't able to carry the current all the way from the source to the appliance, then there's going to be a malfunction. It's not going to work properly. And that's what I feel is happening. Either side or both sides are contributing to this not being a complete circuit. Wow. Others of you, it's not that. Others of you, it does have, it is going to complete the circuit, and this is just about physical separation, more than likely, or some type of spiritual disconnection. But I feel in some of your cases, that will mend itself. In other cases, it's not mending right, or it's not coming online the right way. Out comes Scorpio. Justice major account. Why are you doing this to me today? This camera, I didn't change the settings. I did move it. I technically moved it a little bit, but whatever. Justice card, major arcana 4. Oh my lord. This is pissing me off. Major arcana 4. Here, how about that? Way up, and then we pull it back. Oh, you make me so mad. Anyway, major arcana for Libra. Some of you could be dealing with a Libra, but you don't have to be. Please, why won't you just focus? It's bothering me so much. There. Oh, did I have to block that out? Is that what that was? Okay. Oh, we got there. Libra. Major arcana for Libra. You could be dealing with one, but you don't have to be. Something is out of balance and something needs to be put in balance, simply put. I'm drawn particularly to the yin and the yang symbol there, up on the scale there. And I don't usually talk in these terms because, I'm not that reader, at least not yet. But that yin and that yang symbol was really popping out to me. And so that, in a very general sense, is about masculine and feminine dynamics, and there needing to be a proper balance of them. Like I said before, the Queen of Swords sometimes in tarot is considered to be more confident, more resolute, more quote-unquote masterful than the king. In my estimation, the queen and the king are both masters. They just do it slightly differently, right? But essentially, their characters in terms of the other suits are sometimes flipped when you come to the king and the queen of swords, because the queens are usually more receptive. They're usually a little bit more, no fuss, no muss. They're usually less interested in assertion or combative energies, or they're just like not as much into the fight. They're a little bit more docile. However, with the queen and the king of swords, sometimes that's flipped. And so that might play here, where one partner is normally so confident and so assured, and now they're not. Or the one who's usually more quiet is now more vocal. That could be going on here. But more to the point of what we're talking about with the Justice card, there needs to be a balance between, these feminine and masculine dynamics, basically, is how they're making me refer to that. Where was this before? Oh, it was up here. Oh, for God's sakes, whatever. So, I want to go more into that, but like it's just not my forte at this time as a reader, because I'm not sure. Okay, they're like both. Okay, so both need some balancing. Both need some healing and perspective. The female dynamic, or the female, excuse me, not the female dynamic, the feminine dynamic, the feminine energy and the masculine energy. Okay, how that represents in your life, whom I'm talking about, I have no idea. But both needs to kind of blend together in equal parts. Let's say that. In equal parts, these energies need to blend together. But there is a disproportionate energy. The masculine is giving too much, or the feminine is giving too much, or vice versa, right? I don't know your specifics. And again, I'm not that type of reader who reads, divine masculine, divine feminine. I know about it. I've watched it. I've read about it. It's just not what comes through most times in my reading. So I'm not ever, or at least at this point, I'm not somebody who's confident in speaking in these terms too much. But that's what this feels like. It feels like a justice, a balancing, and more to the point, karmic justice, not actual law, although in some of your cases, maybe there is a lawful component. But this involves karmic justice coming to, coming for, coming from both parties, divine masculine, divine feminine, if that's your bag. If not divine, then just, masculine qualities versus feminine qualities in each individual. And I'm drawing a distinction there between DF and DM and just regular feminine and masculine. I'm drawing that distinction. I hope you understand what I'm saying. And That's interesting. I rarely talk about that. The aspect that they want me to talk about here is, justice related to Libra, and Libra being ruled by Venus. There should be a loving quality in whatever way I should say, you are going to handle your karmic justice or handle your karmic debts, Scorpio, or whoever's watching. It should be done from a place of love. Thank you. Yes, it should be done from a place of love. That's what they really took me like the long route to talk about love. Again, justice, Libra, Venus embodying the aspects of love or the quality of love, and how that's kind of paramount to the situation. Okay. See, back here. Remember this issue of communication. Remember this issue of talking and not talking, being willing and not willing, avoiding or whatever it is. If there is communication, if there is communication, don't bog it down with stress. Lift it up with love. And that's so cheesy. I'm not a cheesy person, but that's basically how they're making me feel. If you're in contact with someone and, you guys are separated because of, quarantines and what have you, don't emphasize the stressful aspects of it. Emphasize the loving aspects of why you guys are together, or how you're connected, what you're able to do for each other despite the distance. You see what I mean? So if someone's away because they got caught in a business trip and they can't make it home, and someone else is at home with the kids, or someone is at home with the dogs and the cats and the turtles, whatever it is, your communication when you're Skyping or Facebook messaging each other, or, whatever you're doing, it shouldn't be, oh my God, this is so stressful and I'm so angry about, what's going on at the embassy and nobody knows anything, and da 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 da. Like, express those parts too, but then also remember to express that you appreciate each other, that you love each other, that you are happy that one of you was able to be home to take care of the kids or the dogs or whatever it is. You know what I mean? It's again, I'm not a cheesy person, but they're really like giving me like this long way around to talk about the Venusian aspects associated with the Justice card, where even in a moment where it feels very unjust or it feels very unfair and it feels very stressful what you're dealing with, bring it back to the connectivity of your relationships or of the circumstance that you're in. Even if it's like just being grateful that you live in the 21st century where, for the most part, communication is very instant, right? If this was, back when it was, the influenza or the Spanish flu or whatever it was, historically in the early 20th century, communication between people was like much slower. So there was a lot more uncertainty. At least here you can possibly speak and see each other every day through, technological means. So I want to just get out of that, because there's a lot in there that I think is very subjective and personal, and I'm not in an authority in a general to talk about that too much. So overall energy, Scorpio, for mid-March is the Three of Pentacles. That's kind of what I was just talking about, this idea of like working well with someone. Oh, I can't believe it with this focus. Thank you. It was like perfect yesterday. Anyway, so this is collaboration, the energy of collaborating with other people, and doing so smartly, doing so in a way that makes sense. And I think that is on the table here. You have a potential to make a partnership or restructure a partnership or reestablish it, have it for the first time, or maintain it. And again, it's like it's a good pairing because you're same suited, right? Queen and King of Swords. So there's this potential to make things work, but that requires all hands on deck, or that requires everybody coming to the table and being of like mind. So there's an interest here in total of aligning thoughts, of aligning perspectives or priorities, and coming from something, wanting to share for a common goal. So if this is your boss and you might be afraid, of being laid off, you might have to tell them straight up, listen, I want this could be what you're thinking about as you're eating your oatmeal or your cereal in the morning. I want to maintain my job. I don't want to be laid off in this time of crisis. I need to make myself a valuable player to my boss, something like that. So you might, address them very, very directly. I don't want to lose this job. I love working for you. I love working for this company. What can I do, or here's what I'm thinking I can offer in this time of disarray that's going to make me a valuable player. Like, you wouldn't say it in those terms, but you want to show your interest in working together. Your boss might meet you and they might match that energy. So this is about matching intention with the Three of Pentacles. This is about matching capability and dedication to a project, to a goal. But I think the crux here is the ability to communicate. Someone might be very busy with other things. They have lots of irons in the fire, and somebody is over here busy trying to make sense of what they feel, trying to make sense of what they think, trying to make sense of what they're experiencing. So, I mean, if this was a personal, I would clarify the hell out of this, but I'm going to have to stop it there. Hopefully, this made sense to you, Scorpio. If it did, please drop a like down below. If you want to let me know how this resonates in your life, go ahead and leave me a comment. I would love to read that. If you want to share this, let other people know you like watching my stuff. That would be cool beans. Oh, cool beans. Oh my God, I said it. Oh no. I hate cool beans. I am not 16 anymore. That is, anyway, it would be cool. No beans. If you want to subscribe, feel free to subscribe. The button is down below. Again, if you want to see me over on Instagram, it's Empathic Fire Tarot over there. Go ahead and drop me a follow. And if you want a personal, that information is down below as well. Scorpio, I'll be back in a few days, maybe a week or two. No, in about a week, doing the April messages. Then after that, I have the mid-April coming up. I am doing a live for Aries on April 11th. So since Aries did show up in your reading, if you are interested in an Aries, go ahead and feel free to drop by the chat and hang out and just see what's going on. Do a little eavesdropping as I answer questions for Aries at that time. And yeah, so if you if you did enjoy this, thank you so much. And hopefully I get to see you soon, Scorpio. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye.